Welcome to Ask a Lawyer with Christine Mattis. Attorney Mattis is recognized as an authority on special needs estate planning, real estate law, and nonprofit rules and regulations. Join us as Christine answers your questions about the law and how it affects you.
Chris, tell us about your article on divorce and special needs issues.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It's interesting because there's been quite a number of family lawyers who have reached out to us for their help. So it's been something that we've been doing the last few years, and issues that have been coming up that we really feel it's important that not just family lawyers to know, but people who are going through this stage in a marriage where unfortunately perhaps it's not working out. And it is difficult. No matter how you look at it, divorce is difficult. But if you are dealing with children with disabilities, with special needs, there's a lot of things that we really think people should be aware of. And so my mantra and my mission has always been to educate and make sure people are aware that, please be aware of these things if you're dealing in this type of situation. So, one of the most important things we always tell people is, be aware of governmental benefits. Typically, when we have children who are disabled, considered special needs, they may be receiving governmental benefits such as Medicaid or SSI, and these benefits, they're considered means tested, or, in other words, that they're only eligible to receive these benefits if they only have a certain amount of assets in their name. Typically, they can only have $2,000 in their name. And if the children are to be receiving child support, well, it's considered income, an asset, and that would eliminate them from receiving the benefits. So we've always tried to make sure people are aware that's important that their divorce attorney include language in the separation agreement or the divorce decree that there should be a creation of a special needs trust, a tool that should be created so that we could make sure that the child still receives child support and also receives those all important benefits. So that's number one, what we do. We often help family lawyers. We provide them with the proper language and we craft a trust so that their child is protected. That's really number one, Steve. Number two, we've always tried to make sure people are aware, really look at the routine of the child. Each special needs child has certain abilities that we like to look at. But we also want to make sure that, if you're a parent of a special needs child, do you need to be available during the day to be with your child? What hours of the day or weekend that you believe you should be there? And if that is so, that needs to be built in the agreement, how much time that you will be with the child to be there for them. And, on the flip side, it's happened on a rare occasion that we've seen where we do have one parent who may say they don't need to work or can't work because they do need to be with their child. And perhaps their child's abilities are more than what they're expressing and what we all know. So in order to solve that solution, Steve, we've recommended that perhaps you may have to obtain an expert, someone to really evaluate and take a look at what the child can do and what they may not be able to do. And that helps determine the amount of time a parent should be able to spend with their child. And the third most important thing that we've seen also that we need to consider, if you're in the middle of a divorce, make sure to let your divorce attorney know, what are the special considerations that we need to think about when we're calculating child support, right? Because, child support, it can be calculated. There is a formula. But when we have a child with special needs who's disabled, there's special considerations we want to think about. There are a lot of things that come into play that child support may not take care of. Once they reach that majority age, many children who are special needs or disabled, they may still continue to need child support. So it's important to know that the child support guidelines, they may not consider all the expenses that are involved in raising a child with special needs. I know with my own child, Juliana, we have different therapies. We have equipment that we really need to consider, that we use special types of shoes that she needs, even special types of toys that she uses. And that all comes into play, and when you're just using a basic formula to calculate child support, it may not be fair. And, we also have to realize that sometimes our child may never be emancipated. And so child support could remain, for the entire child's life in some cases, and that has to be taken into consideration. So that's one of the things, to make sure to bring up with your divorce attorney. The fourth important thing, life insurance. So when someone is obligated to pay child support, Steve, they should also, and they're, required to obtain life insurance. That guarantees child support in case that person dies. But when we have a child with special needs, it's important that when we take out that life insurance, that the beneficiary is not the child, but it should be the trust. And if they don't have a trust, then they need to reach out to a special needs planner, a firm like ours, to create it. And that's, again, something that a family lawyer should be aware of. And you as a parent, if you're involved in this, you need to be educated and make sure everyone's aware that that's what we need to do. And again, another popular issue, Steve, education. Sometimes the custody order will say certain parents have a certain role, but if it's silent, if it doesn't say in a sole custody situation, or if it doesn't say that one parent does not have educational decision-making rights, considering the type of case it is, then it's assumed both parents need to be involved with the decision-making of a child. They need to be involved when we need to see if there's special services for a child, or IEP meetings. Our firm is heavily involved. I'm so excited that we're able to add this element in the last few years to help families if they're having trouble with the school system, if their child perhaps may not be receiving the services they should, Steve, certain therapies or certain type of classes. And we've been happy to help parents navigate through that little maze of the educational system to make sure they get what they should. But if you're in a divorce situation, it really has to be spelled out. Are both parents welcome to these meetings? Do we need both parents to consent to certain therapies? It needs to be spelled out. If not, it's another reason why families go back to court to try to revisit. It's more time, more stress, more money. That's really what it comes down to. But, there's lots of other considerations that we need to think about when you do have this situation. But my hope was that this would give at least some highlights and some tips to think about if you're involved in this type of situation in your family life. And if you have a divorce attorney that you're dealing with, typically they're very well aware and they know what we need to do. But if not, for some reason it hasn't been brought up yet, bring it up. Let them know that these are things that I'm concerned about. How do we approach it? And it should be built into their divorce decree or separation agreement. And just very important, and we're very active with the New Jersey Family Law Bar. In fact, we're one of the sponsors for a New Jersey law retreat that's happening in March. And we go with the family law practitioners and the judges, and we help educate them with certain issues that may occur during this. So, we've realized that a lot of practitioners may not be aware, but more it's the parents. A lot of them, they're going through a very difficult time in their life. And it's just important that they realize that this is an element that needs to be discussed, Steve. It's just so important.
Thanks for listening to Ask a Lawyer with Christine Mattis. Attorney Mattis can be reached at 732-281-0060. Her website is mattislaw.com.